Hey everybody, it's Mr. Pugh here. What I'm going to do in this video is show you guys how to download and install Visual Studio Code onto your FCPS laptop. So we're not actually going to be installing it onto the hard drive because there's restrictions, but we're going to kind of install it virtually on your desktop so that you'll be able to access it and run the program and have all the functionality that you need for the program for our class. All right, so the first thing I want you to do here is on your desktop, right click, and I want you to come down here to New, and then you're going to create a new folder. So this folder I would like for you to call Visual Studio Code. And now that we have that folder, you can just kind of put it off to the side. We're going to take a look at that and use that later on here in a second. What we're going to do now is open up a web browser and Google whatever you want. What I want you to type in here is code.visualstudio.com and click on that. It should bring you up to this first website here, Visual Studio Code. So if you click there, this is the web page. All right. So you couldn't see my address, so I wanted to do that through Google so you can see kind of how to get there. But again, the website is code.visualstudio.com. So once you're here, there's a little blue button up here on the top called Download. You need to click the top one. This is the one you need to click. It'll bring you to this page, which gives you some different options here. If you're using your own computer, you have a Mac, then here's what you need. If you're using the FCPS laptop, then this is the one you're going to have to click on. All right. So if you're using your own, you can kind of install it directly to your laptop if you choose, and that could be something that you pick up here. But for the FCPS laptops, this last one down here, this .zip file, that's the one that we need. So you're going to click on this 64-bit. It's this bottom right one. Click on that. It's going to start downloading. You can't see what's going on here down in my bottom left-hand corner of my screen. It's now fully downloaded. So if you double-click on it, it's going to open up the file. So you see you have this VS Code Windows.zip should be here. You should see a little folder here with a little zipper on it. It says extract all. You are going to click there, and then you are going to browse. So you need to get to your desktop. I have already made my desktop, pinned it to my quick access so I can always find it. I highly recommend that you do that. And if you don't know how to do that, I can show you real quick. So under this PC, you'll see this local disk C. If you click on the down arrow, come down here to users, and then you should have, yours won't be labeled with a name. It's probably your student ID. If you double click on the student ID, then you'll find your desktop. If you right click on the desktop, it'll open up this menu here, and you can see here it says pin to quick access. That's what I recommend you pin to your quick access so that you'll always be able to get to your desktop quickly and easily. All right, so once you get into your desktop, you'll see that I have this Visual Studio Code. You'll click on that. There's not going to be anything in there. That's okay. Just go ahead and select that folder that you created called Visual Studio Code. Select the folder, and now it shows up in the Browse button. See, users, this would be your student ID, desktop, Visual Studio Code. That's the pathway we need. Go ahead and hit extract. Now, this could take a few minutes. So just let it run. I'm going to pause the video and we'll come back once it's done doing its thing. Okay, so it just finished up here. It took a few minutes, but it did finish up. And now when I look at this file pathway, it's the same, but now inside of this Visual Studio Code, there's a whole lot of stuff here that's accessible and filled in. So this code.exe, this is the file application that we're going to be working with. What I want you to do is right click on it, and I want you to pin to taskbar. You can also create a shortcut and put that on your desktop if you prefer. I like the pin to taskbar because then it shows up on your taskbar and you don't have to go to your desktop to open it up. Your taskbar is always visible to you. So if you got a bunch of windows open and you want to open up this application, you don't have to minimize all your windows to get to your desktop. You just click on it. So I like pinning to the taskbar. Once it's pinned, we're going to go ahead and open this up. When you open it up for the first time, it's going to look something like this. And make mine a little smaller so that you can see the whole thing. So this here is the Explorer. When you come on here, it's going to kind of want you to open up a folder. You don't have a folder yet. So what I want you to do is come back to this Visual Studio Code folder, and I want you to create a new one. And this one I want you to call Programs. All right, so your Programs folder is where all of your work is going to be saved. All right, so now that we've created that, we can come back to our Visual Studio Code, and now we can open a folder. And we'll go back in here to our desktop. Make sure you go to the Visual Studio Code, go to your Programs folder, should be empty, and select that folder. That's where all your work is going to be saved. All right. So anytime you click on this Windows Explorer, it's always going to bring you back to here unless you go somewhere else. If you change this pathway, which there's not really going to be much of a need to do that, it'll always kind of bring you back to here. It'll always take you to wherever you left, wherever you were at when you left the program last. So once you start to create files, this is where it's going to be at. You can create a new file here. If you want to create folders and stuff, you can create some folders here as well. Over here on this welcome, there's a new file, open new folder, but that won't always be open. You can also get it from your file here. You can create a new file, and there you go. Now you can start typing and entering your code, and it's going to be able to save it and work. All right. So when you first start, the new files that you open are always going to be plain text files. It doesn't know what type of program, what type of language you're going to be writing in. So it kind of just thinks, okay, what do you want to do? So if you start typing, right, it's just going to be plain text. It's not going to give you any pre-fill options. It's not going to predict anything that you want to type or say. But if you go to File and you Save As, and you give it a name and you give it a type, so we're going to be working with HTML files to begin with. So if you call this an HTML, and we'll call this demo, and you see that this is an HTML icon letting you know what type of, so when you have different types of files in this programming folder, it'll be there for you. All right, it'll tell you HTML. So in this demo HTML, now when I start to type things, it's going to give me predictions, right? So depending on what I want to create here, it gives me different types of options that are there for HTML files. So it's very helpful for you guys, new coders, to have this. So that's what I really like about it. But again, it's not going to be there until you declare what type of file it is. Then it can give you some predictive lists as you start typing. The nice thing is that you can tab over and it fills it in for you. And then also, there's also these opening and closing, right? You'll start to see a lot of these mirror types of objects and things that we type in. So once you've typed in the beginning and tabbed over, it predicts, okay, you're going to need an ending. So that's going to save you a lot of debugging because it gives you both the beginning and the ending right away. As you can see, it also gives you some indentation, so as to help make your structure more readable. So that's going to be very helpful. You're going to learn to appreciate all of this as we get into it. Right now, it doesn't need to make a whole lot of sense. I just want to kind of show it off a little bit and hopefully not make the video too long. So this is it. This is what I wanted you to be able to do. I'll post this. You guys, if you feel comfortable with what I've done, you feel like you can do it on your own with no problem, then feel free to download this and start kind of exploring it a little bit. Otherwise, in class, I'll make sure that everybody gets to this point. You do not have to have this up and running on the first day. We will make sure that you have it on your computer by the time you need it. All right. Hopefully this was good. If you have any questions, just let me know.